Today guys, we're trying to complete the bag of this mid-handicap golfer. We've fixed his irons, we've got him new shafts in his Tacoma irons, which you will see on the channel and I will link in the description below. But today we are talking about the club everybody wants to see. We want to see what he is doing with that driver. Is it the driver or is it the man himself? Is it mid-handicap Dave? But you can see guys, we're at SGGT here, Tour Performance Fitting here in South Chesterfield. We've got as many shafts as I've ever seen. We've got all the brands here, all the different heads. We're going to test all these shafts in these heads to see what we can find for Dave to help him lower his scores.
Right, so what we'll do, we get you hitting your driver straight up the range at that 150 board, and we'll see what's going on.
That's what's going on.
That typical?
That is very typical. Don't normally happen when you go for a fitting, doesn't that? But that is just about what happens.
Yeah?
Yep.
Same thing?
Same thing, low left.
Always the same?
Squirty. Yeah, sometimes I get away with it. Sometimes, if I do hit it right, it goes forever. But the amount of times I hit it right,
okay.
Lucky if it's once around.
Okay, right, so let's have a quick look. So you've got the weight in the heel here, in the PXG. So you've got your weight back and heel. You've already flipped it into that flat PXG setting,
yep.
which I think is a good thing for you to do. We've got that done in the irons. Let's have a look and see whether we can change the setup of the head to improve it for you.
Okay.
So we're just going to see what weights you've got in the head and where they are.
I decided not to clean them because I thought it just added that little bit of extra weight at one side.
Yeah, you needed that extra swing weight and dead weight, didn't you?
Yeah.
Massively.
Yeah.
Just that more weight in the heel. Just
that's
to help
exactly where that's, you know, you read my mind.
Okay, so we're going to put the two 7.5 grams back in, but instead of having them in the heel in the back, we're going to go back and toe. All
okay.
Right. Any adjustment in the PXG from the standard setting is going to decrease the lie angle for you.
Okay.
Okay, so what we want to do is we're probably going to see a little bit more adjustment if we get you in the higher setting. So hopefully a little bit more improvement there, getting that loft up a little bit. So we've got 1.5 degrees of loft we can add to this. So as we do that, putting it on this sort of setting there, still going to flatten the lie angle. So push that toe down and away from you a little bit.
Doesn't that close the face though?
The lie angle is going to help more than sort of like the face angle initially. But when you look at it, you'll notice it doesn't look closed at all still. Okay.
Not as much as I hoped, but we'll see.
Yeah.
You're going to come out with something absolutely brilliant, aren't you?
Don't know whether today's a day for a miracle, Dave.
Well, there is that. No idea where that went.
Bit better. So got that launch up there.
Yeah.
A little bit higher on the club face, so that helps with that initial launch. So the roll on the face means the higher up you strike it, physically there's more loft on the golf club, so that helped a little bit there. Not quite a lot of spin on there, so down at sort of 1300, but again that's relevant to where you struck it on the club face. Not too bad, not too bad.
I find a lot of time I end up striking it right off the toe,
yeah.
Which also sends it left.
Yeah.
That were off the toe.
Yeah, little toey. Okay, that's all right. We can go from there.
Okay.
So let's have a look. So we can still see that sort of shot shape.
Yeah.
Heavily going left. All right. When we look at sort of the delivery face angle, a little bit right of target, path 2 degrees right, and a little bit on the up. So it's naturally wanting to go left on you anyway, due to your delivery angle and so on. We're not quite getting enough spin on the ball.
No.
So that itself, 1400 revolutions is a little bit low. Well, it's very low.
Yeah.
So as we get low spin, that ball doesn't want to hold itself in the air. We start to see the ball dip in quite a lot. So that's why we're seeing this quite aggressive move. As it starts to go up, it just comes straight back down.
So what number are you looking for on that ish?
For your speed, I'd probably say we need to try our very best to almost double that. I think if we got you sort of 2.8 to 3,000 at your sort of speed, we'll see a much higher, longer carried ball flight. Because the problem you're going to see is, especially that transition between winter and summer golf, there's a massive drop off in your driver distance between summer and winter, and the main reason is you're primarily reliant on lots of roll. So we need to try and alter that and almost narrow the gap between summer and winter drives. It may mean that in the summer you're less reliant on roll, but it's a more consistent.
But I don't mind that, because if I'm getting the carry, it takes me over the trouble. My problem is that where I play at Garforth, there's certain holes where, you know, if the carry's not 160 yards, then you're not making the fairway, so it's going nowhere.
Yeah.
If I do by chance make it past that, it'll literally roll for 50 yards. So all of a sudden it looks like a good drive, but I know full well that it wasn't.
Yeah, because ultimately if that first bounces in the rough, it just kills it.
Yeah, exactly.
Takes all the speed out. Right, so what we'll do, we've got a PXG tip that we can put in there for you, so that'll allow us to still use your head, and from here we'll use our sort of matrix, try and find the best shaft for you. And then once we've got to that point, we'll then go, right, is there a better opportunity for us to use a different head that might do something different for you? Right, so we're going into the VA Badass 40 Light. There's a reason for it. We've been there before.
Yep.
The sort of model of shaft has worked well previously through the irons.
Yeah, I'm going to say that's what in the irons.
So
what is in the irons.
I've put it in here. I've got it on that big plus setting in the PXG. What I have done is I've put the pure line on the front of the shaft. That should help, hopefully, generate a little bit more elevation in the product. So let's see how we go there. I better not catch tees. Last time I caught a tee, I got it in the front.
Really?
Yeah. Could have played for England with it though. That good a catch. That's good. So ball speed's still nice and high. We've seen a little bit more elevation in that initial launch.
Carries further.
Yeah, it's carried further, and ultimately it's just the ball's getting up a little bit easier, a little bit higher. Yeah, not too bad.
We're still going big left.
Great shot. Okay, spin above 2,000, we're up at 191 carry. Launch angle still a fraction low. What we're seeing here is actually the way in which the shaft's responding. The dynamic loft hasn't changed too much, but what we are seeing is that little bit more initial height, and that's just because shaft weight and so on is just helping you time it a little bit better.
But would you still want that spin rate up?
I personally would.
Yeah.
I personally prefer, for your sort of speed, if we can see a little bit more spin. Like if I throw Optimizer up on the screen here, you can see here we've still launched it low, spinning it low, the trajectory's low. We get to this total distance really well, but like I said, I don't want to be standing there being heavily reliant on roll.
No.
We want to see a little bit more elevation. So you're set at 12 degrees in this driver at the moment. Obviously there's other heads available that we can get it up and hopefully more spin and so on. If we can find a shaft that gives you a little bit more lift and launch as well, that would help as well. But ultimately that sort of position there is much better than where we have been. So yeah, pretty good across the board. The best way to think of it, and I use this sort of side view quite a lot, is if you imagine someone's just stood at the end here, and the water in a hose pipe is coming out at where we are there, which is 131 miles an hour.
Yep.
This bottom sort of blue area here is the lowest angle he can hold that hose pipe, or the person can hold that hose pipe for the water to get a good flow.
Yep.
And we get the maximum reach out of that. And then you've got the top, which is the highest. So we're always trying to get that ball flight in between those two angles. And that'll give us the best of both. As you can see here, your last shot there starts low and never has that ability to climb.
You say it's never within that window, is it?
No. So because it starts low, that's not necessarily a huge issue. We'd expect more spin. If we had more spin, it would hopefully rise a little bit through the flight and go through that window at some point. Because we don't have the spin and we don't have the launch, we never get up to that sort of height that we're trying to achieve.
Okay.
But what I will say is it's an improvement.
Yeah, yeah,
okay,
definitely.
We're moving forwards. You know, you said 160 carry. Most of the stuff around Garforth is probably 160 to 170 carry. If we're 190 and we can consistently get to that number, that's an improvement.
Yeah.
All right?
I'm sick of playing with second shots out of the rough.
I don't think we can fix that, Dick.
You need to work on that, Lawrence.
Yeah, right, hit a couple more.
That felt very toey.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, it's not that bad.
No, a bit out the toe. You've still got plenty of speed on there. Shot shape wise, you know, from where we started, which was dynamic loft 7.5, launching it really low at sort of 6 degrees, 1400 revolutions. We're now launching it at 11 degrees, spinning at 1980.
Yeah.
It's definitely an improvement. You know, your carry distance has gone up sort of 70 yards. I think if we looked at what was your best strike on it, yeah, it's still gone up sort of 60 yards on your best strike. And the ball speed's good. So, you know, ultimately, strike pattern is not too bad.
All right.
Pretty central, maybe a margin low. Like I said, we'll look at tee height later on, but I think, you know, it's a good start and a good step in the right direction. You know, I see this and go, that head's pretty good. Like, it's producing a great amount of speed from what you're putting in, you know, legally limited at that 1.5 smash. So it's giving you great speed. Is it the right initial loft? Probably not. You know, we probably want to see a little bit more loft on there to start with, like the static loft, 10.5, is that the right head? I'd say probably we need a bit more.
Okay.
But yeah, let's try another shaft from there. Really like that though.
Yeah.
Feel all right though?
It does.
So we're going into the Accurate Eye Wood series here.
Right.
So again, we're keeping that weight down. The reason I want to keep the weight down is I want to see whether we can help generate and maintain clubhead speed. This, when we measure this on a CPM, it's 7 cycles softer than the Badass shaft that you've just tried. So this is 212.
What's a CPM?
So a CPM is a cycle per minute. It's how we measure each individual shaft so that we know exactly what flex it is.
Okay.
So the reason we do that is some manufacturers have their own sort of buffers and points at which they declare something a regular and a stiff. It's not universal.
Okay.
So every manufacturer can stipulate what they feel is appropriate.
So if I bought, I don't know, an leader, that might be, their stiff might be something completely different to Badass, for instance.
Yeah, exactly. So if a VA shaft could have like 220 cycles a minute and be called a stiff, and another shaft can be called 219 cycles and be called an extra stiff, or however it may work. But there's no sort of clear definitive line on the spectrum where one's called one and one's called the other. So we measure everything in here so that we understand where everything is in terms of comparisons of, say, a Diamana against a Fujikura and so on. So we can put them against each other. With your hook, he's a brave man stood there. He's got shin pads on though, because it's never getting higher than that.
What was that?
That was the tee hitting your shaft.
I wonder what the hell it was.
Good launch there. That's one of the highest launches at 12.
Yeah.
Good hit.
Yeah.
2-1 spin. So again, we're going softer, and as we're seeing this softness in the shaft and that softness, especially up through the sort of tip section, we're seeing that elevation initial launch getting up. And hopefully it feels quite easy as well. Shouldn't feel too difficult.
No, it doesn't feel like I'm doing anything different.
Good. Oh.
Tell you what, that didn't hook, did it?
Jesus. 200 carry club.
Oh, now we're talking, Dave. 2,800.
Sign
me up for these long drives, eh?
You'd have to hit back 2 of them, Dave.
Yeah, exactly. Can seniors not do it twice and just add them together?
So, remember what I said about this sort of imagery here?
Yeah.
You've just launched it in that lower line, and we've, like I said, 2,800, 3,000 is probably a good number for us. We've got it tracing across there. So actually, when we start to look at the numbers, we've maintained really good ball speed at 131. When we look at the optimizer there, we're pretty much on the mark across the board. I think that's a really good place for us to try and consistently get you to. But you can see here, spin, great, 62 feet of height from the sort of 30s and 40s we were in previously. That launch still a fraction low, but what I like is the head's producing some great ball speed still, and spin loft there, that's just the separation of delivery and dynamic loft is all within the sort of realms of where we want to be. The only probably thing on that is just a little low and a little heely, but that's fine. That's not a bad miss for you to have.
No.
A little heely would, if anything, take a little bit of that right to left away. Yeah, so hit a couple more with that. Big fan of this.
Yeah. Ooh, what's there? Bit off balance, but it's not a terrible one.
No, still sort of 11 launch. Good ball speed again. Just a little flat in the spin, but you know, you fell off that fraction, and obviously the club face started to close, and 4 degrees close club face to path, it's just going to get it going left a bit too much, and you're never going to generate a lot of spin from a right to left shaping shot.
No.
Another good one though.
Yeah, better.
Again, 131 ball, 11 launch, hopefully a bit more spin this time. There we go. 2-2 spin, 190 carry, 224. Yeah, big fan of the shaft. We're seeing that initial launch angle just go up a fraction. Spin's actually a little bit higher as well, so we're averaging 2-2 spin on here.
See that?
So yeah, we're going in the right direction. So much better than where we were with the badass. And it's a big thing that not necessarily what works in your irons works in your woods. So don't always just go with that sort of generic.
Don't match them up just because they look
one
good.
shaft does all for everyone. It just doesn't, right? You've got to make sure when you get fitted, you've got a reason to and an option available. Right, so we're going to go nice and light again. We're going to go in the new GX series from Accra. Big fan of this because it's a little bit more stable in the tip. So we're going to try and see what the stability does here. We're dropping those cycles per minute down again. So I'm going to 201. Really soft as a sort of profile of shaft here. The reason we're doing this is just to see how we get down and into those sort of really soft flexes and get the spin up for you. All right?
Okay. Got that.
Okay.
Yeah. Felt a bit strange.
Good ball speed. Just turned a little bit on you, didn't it? In what way did it feel strange?
Strangely, it felt stiffer than the last one, even though it shouldn't be.
That'll be that sort of tip section down there. So just trying to control that sort of initial starting line. If we can keep it straight and have the head not twist as much, maybe that'll take some of the shape out. It might not. It might just be how you deliver the club. I mean, you were trying not to laugh there.
I was, yeah.
Little off the top.
Yeah.
Just not feel as good.
No.
Okay, fine. Right. Big believer that your golf clubs, you've got to love them, right?
Yep. Like my irons.
Just well fitted. So what you've got here is TPT Nitro 21 high. This is the softest one you're going to try so far. So this is 190 cycles per minute, down at 40 grams, so really, really lightweight. What you're looking at is a raw finish. So TPT is a thin ply technology. As a manufacturer, super tight tolerances. You're seeing quite a lot of tour pros go into this now as a product. Yeah, we see lots of good feedback from this. Feels really, really stable.
I can see why you've given it to me if the tour pros are using it.
Yeah, yeah. It's just that quality of strike you've got, Dave.
That head speed, yeah. That's nice.
Highest launch so far, longest carry so far, 2,600 spin. You've split the middle of your flight, 206 carry, 230 total.
Wow.
You know what they say about blind squirrels, Dave, don't you?
Yeah, they do find a nut every so often.
Every now and again they can catch an acorn, so you've got to do it more than once. How did that feel?
It felt great. And even better than that, I could actually see it landing.
Yeah.
Which is unusual for me. A little bit more left than it was, but it's still nice.
So again, 13 launch, a little bit of right to left on that, so that's just reduced the spin, 202 carry, 221 total.
Still decent though.
I mean, if you look at the sort of comparison, you know, of that to where you were.
Is that my first shots?
They're your first two when you had it set up the way you had it, to those. And again, we look at across there, still very, very good. Just probably a marginal miss strike, which is going to happen. No one's a robot. That's why we're just losing a little bit through here, but those numbers are still very, very good. Little Healy, just turn the hands a bit.
Never saw it.
Just went quite hard and left on you straight away.
Oh, right.
There we go. So 11 launch, 1850 spin, so low in spin, but again, you've turned your hands in that. There's been 6 degrees of separation. You've really closed that club face to your swing. So ultimately, not a lot's going to save that.
No.
Okay, so not a bad flight for where you were. If you think about what that was like with your original club, you wouldn't have had that initial launch.
No.
I know it's gone left. It's still 171 through the air, so you're still making that carry round Garforth.
Yeah.
All right.
Wouldn't find it. It'd be in the cornfield, but yeah.
I know. Yeah, it'll be a wee bit left, but you know, at least it's all right, playable, findable. Great hit.
Better.
Lovely shot again. You know, if Chris stood back here, he'd be amazed.
That's
like
nice. That is nice.
Big fan of that.
Yep.
Big, big fan. Okay, so we put that one in the good corner. What you've seen that's consistent here is the ball speed's been very, very good off the head. So you are seeing, you know, consistently your smash factor 148 there, 146 that had that sort of higher strike though, 149, 150, 146 again, 149. So it's always been a good performer for speed for you.
And 1.5 is the optimal, isn't it?
Yeah, 1.5 is the optimal. I really like where we are here. Like across the board, that TPT shaft has done the world of good for you there.
Yep.
Right. So another shaft that's quite similar in CPM to that TPT that you've just hit is the Autoflex 404. Okay. Yeah, Autoflex, very, very distinct colour, as you can see.
Yep.
Very distinct feeling product as well. Very, very soft. Its main sort of theory is that it'll stabilise as it comes down and hopefully, you know, become quite rigid at the point of impact for you. Yeah, a lot of people really get on well with this. I think for you it's a good option because again it has that softness to it that's going to help with that initial launch. Hopefully as well deliver some nice spin on the ball for you.
I mean, we tried it with the irons and it didn't work, but that doesn't necessarily mean, as you said earlier, that it won't work with a different sort of club. So
we don't know, right? Doesn't mean it's going to be bad. Like the badass shaft that we had was an improvement, so it was better.
Oh, that was an awful strike.
Okay, interesting that it's, you know, a bit loopy, starting more to the right though. Whereas when you had your original shaft in, everything was starting quite straight and going hard left.
Yeah.
Now at least we're getting that ball to start to the right, especially with that TPT and also that Acra I series as well. We were getting that ball to start right of the target and not want to shape as much to the left. So at least if we get it right and with your natural shot shape, it's just going to come back to target. It's much better than starting at the target going further away from it.
Yeah.
Or left and further left. Okay, popped up really well, 15 degrees of launch, probably a fraction too high, a little high on the club face though.
Went further left
again, just shaping that a little bit too much for what we want to see. And as a feel for you, how does that feel?
It feels whippy.
And in comparison to that previous TPT shaft, what a lot softer or?
It feels, I wouldn't say a lot softer, but it does feel softer.
Okay.
which I don't mind, but
Yeah.
Toey.
Yeah, we're just seeing a very erratic strike that we didn't have with that TPT. So again, we don't want to encourage that. We don't want that to happen too often. So we'll just move on from there. Great shot. So again, quite similar to where we were with the TPT. The Mitsubishi Vanquish here is quite a stable shaft. It's in the 4R2, so CPM down at 207. Just seeing that initial launch up at 14. For whatever reason, did pick the spin up there, but good sort of initial launch, not a lot of shape. So you can see that similarities between this and where we were with that 21 high in the TPT.
But it doesn't seem to be getting the carry and the total, does it?
No. Strike-wise, looked a little high on the face. You can see ball speed's dropped a fraction. You've lost sort of 10 miles an hour, so...
Oh, have I? Okay. Smash factor were well down, wasn't it?
Yeah, so it's just when you know, you've hit that an inch out the heel and a little bit high, centimetre high in the heel. So it's just one of those things that for that strike, I'd happily take that because at least you're still making that fairway carry that you were talking about.
Yeah, it felt all right, but...
We've just discovered we can't trust your feel, Dave.
Well, it's so unusual for me to hit one out of the heel that it obviously
you don't know what it feels like.
I don't know what it feels like, so...
Great hit, well struck. You know, that's just a solid struck golf shot. 11 launch again. 201 through the air, 218. Not too bad.
No.
Like, pretty good. We're seeing that launch angle getting you up where you were with that TPT shaft at least.
Yep.
Ball speed's up there as well. Hit a couple more.
Hooky. Have I landed it on the shelf?
Went over my head.
Result.
Yeah, just a bit hooky, not a lot of spin on the ball there, so
No.
it just dipped out the sky fraction. Good ball speed, but yeah, I think I'm loving where we were with that TPT Nitro personally.
Me too.
Okay, so we've put the same grip on here that you've got on your irons. Obviously, we don't have the Arcos on the end.
Not yet.
But let's see how you get on. So hopefully this will take a little bit of the bottom hand out, just like we did with the iron bit. And control that sort of right to left shape and see if we can keep that a little bit straighter for you.
Good God, that nearly hit me.
See, again, I'm not massively concerned by that. Like, you've misstruck that, and we've still got sort of 180 carry out of that. Come out a little low, but spun, and that's what I said previously about if we can keep spin on the ball, even if it does launch low, it's still going to want to try and climb as it flies. So you still manage to get yourself up to 180 carry, and you've only lost 18 yards off what was, you know,
I was more worried about
a strike that was like an inch out the heel and low.
That felt really easy.
Just straight as a die. See again.
Yeah.
Launching good distance on it. Really, really happy with where you are there.
Yeah.
Right, that's me on the driver. I personally don't feel there's huge benefits to be had through head.
Okay.
We will try a couple and see whether there's anything out there that you maybe feel a little bit more comfortable with, or it might tighten the dispersion. But when we look at what you've just done through those sorts of 6 shots that we've got here, that's a massive improvement. Even on the missed strikes there, that is a huge improvement. We're averaging 197 carry, 220 total, 2,500 rows of spin, 66 feet.
And that spin's much nearer to what you were hoping for.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, I wanted to double that 1,400 we started with, and we've pretty much got there. I think, it's just that one that was a little low and heely that just fell out of the sky a fraction, which is going to happen, Dave, right? Yeah. You're mid-handicap, Dave. It's just where you are. So, big improvements there. I like that sort of launch direction being slightly right of target as well. that just means at least the ball's starting right, and with your natural shot shape of a draw, it's coming back to the target and not really starting left and going further left. So at least it's having an opportunity to stay straight.
Yeah.
Yeah, big fan of that. So what we'll do, we'll have a go with a couple of heads and see how we get on.
So guys, very interesting there that Dave's again just changed into the shaft. The shafts had to change. We've gone 40 grams. We've gone for that TPT Nitro, and we've started to get the launch and everything from Dave's PXG driver. Yes, a little bit of tweak in those weights as well, but we can see we've gone from 120 carry, Dave's not happy behind the camera, to over 200. So over 200 yards carry, really started to get out there. But how's it going to compare now to other premium brands? Are they going to be able to get that little bit more distance out there? Are we going to get better numbers? Let's have a look.